Am I heterosexual or homosexual?
Am I a lesbian?
Am I bisexual?
Hi. In human sexuality, there's a lot of topics that we can talk about. But one of the most interesting topics that I believe is very important and we don't really openly talk about it is sexual orientation.
If you look up the definition of sexual orientation, it says it's a person's sexual identity in relation to the gender to which they are attracted, the fact of being heterosexual, homosexual, or bisexual.
On the other hand, a handful of people use sexual orientation as a matter of sexual attraction. Others view it as a matter of sexual behavior. Then there's others that view it as a matter of psychological identity and labels. The main three sexual orientations that a lot of people know about these days is the first one is heterosexual, which means you are interested in the opposite sex. Then there's homosexual, which means you're interested of a member of the same sex. Then you have bisexual, which means you are interested in both men and women. In reality, there's way many more sexual orientations, not just these three. A question that a lot of people ask themselves is, being a homosexual a mental disorder? And the answer is no. Being a lesbian, gay, or bisexual doesn't make or mean that you have a mental disorder. Research done by the American Psychological Association has found that there's no inherent association between sexual orientation and psychopathology. Both heterosexual and homosexual behavior are normal aspects of human sexuality. One question that a lot of people ask is, how do I know if I'm lesbian, gay, or bisexual? Not everyone knows their sexual orientation or what they want to label themselves as. For a lot of people, it's just easy for them to know. For others, it's a tougher time. But throughout life, they experience and go through things that guide them to identifying to whatever sexual orientation they would like to be. The second question that a lot of people ask is, when is the right time to come out? And the answer to that is, it will never be the right time. The best time to come out is when it's the best time for you. Because it doesn't really matter if you come out to your parents at the beginning or at the very end or in the middle of your life. Because your parents are going to react the same way that they would if you would have told them earlier, later on in life. So whenever you would like to come out, you should just come out. You should do it when you have finally and fully accepted to whatever sexual orientation you would like to identify yourself as. In the National Health and Social Life Survey, 2.8% of men and 1.4% of women identify themselves as gay, lesbian, and bisexual. In this same study, however, the percentage who have ever had same-sex contact after the age of 18 was 5.0% of men and 4.0% of women who reported feeling of attraction to a member of the same sex. 6.0% of men and 5.5% of women was a bit higher. There is a lot of difference between sexual identity and sexual behavior. Many people that have sex with the people of the same sex don't identify themselves as gay. An example for that would be a research that found that men can be heterosexually identified, yet occasionally have sex with other men on the down low. The most recent available sexual orientation data from a representative U.S. sample comes from the National Survey of Sexual Health and Behavior, which reported that 7.8% of men and 6.8% of women identify as non-heterosexual. Specifically, among men, 4.2% identify as gay, 2.6% as bisexual, and 1.0% as something else. Among women, the numbers were 0.9%, 3.6%, and 2.3%, respectively. One last research that I'm going to mention, I believe is very interesting because it's about sexual orientation in twin studies. In general, research has found that the more genetic material two people share, the more likely they are to have the same sexual orientation. Most twins studies have found that the coincidence rate for homosexuality is higher for identical twins than it is for fraternal twins, because identical twins share about 100% of their DNA and fraternal twins only share 50% of their DNA. In other words, identical twins are more likely to have the same sexual orientation than fraternal twins or non-twin siblings are. At the end, I believe sexual orientation is a topic that we should talk about more openly, because we should teach other people that you can't just be heterosexual. It's okay with being homosexual, bisexual, etc.